3, 2, 1. Saludos, familia. Welcome to the Hello Brown and Hello Loud podcast. I am Señor Barragan, and this is the homie Vince. For those that don't know me, I think if y'all are here, you already know me. I'm a content creator. I'm an educator, a former educator. I'm a DACA recipient dreamer. And this podcast is all around elevating our voices, having a perspective, talking about culture, politics, whatever we think is important to be able to elevate, uplift our community, y lo que sea. Vince, do you want to introduce yourself?
Again, this is my second time. Thank you. My name is Vince Monroy. For all of
Monroy or Monroy?
Monroy. I mean, it's actually Monroy, but I feel like sometimes when I say Vince Monroy, it throws them off. So
It throws who?
yeah, you're right. I should say how I should say it, right?
All right, let me start again.
Vince Monroy.
I have the homie Vince here. Vince, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi. If you don't know who I am, my name is Vince Monroy. And like Señor Barragan, I create content. The content that I create is meant to amplify voices who are going to fight for vulnerable communities. So again, I'm excited. This is our second one. I did see your last one. It was awesome. So glad to be here again.
Yeah, thank you. A lot has happened, dude. A lot has happened. I think the last podcast we filmed was like 2 weeks ago, and so much has happened all over the place. But I think something that I wanted to ask you about is that I saw that you met Gavin. You know, people call him the Toxico, bro. You met Gavin, and I know you like that food, dude. What was your experience like?
Yeah, he's talking about Gavin Newsom, and also yes,
people know.
I know. I'm pretty. I'm like, is there any other Gavin? And to your first comment about, we met a couple weeks ago, and you say, yeah, a lot of things have happened in the last 2 weeks, dude. Like a lot of things happen every day with this administration. So I just feel like, by the time that you all see this, and I know that takes a little bit of work. And by the way, he does a good job with editing. It might take a little bit of time. But something else might happen. I know we're going to talk about some of the things that happened today a little later. But yeah, I had an opportunity to. So as you all know, the governor is currently I'm not really sure where in his book tour he is in. But I did attend the interview or the event in San Francisco, and that was on Saturday, and had an opportunity to meet his communications director. His name is Brandon, cool guy, and yeah, I wasn't expecting to meet him. I just wanted to go and to understand a little bit more. I had read a little bit about I read a little bit of the book before I got there, and it was really interesting. And a lot of people that have been interviewing him have said that he really gets like really deep and very vulnerable. And I thought that was interesting because with someone like Gavin Newsom, you don't see that. But yeah, it was a great evening. At the end, I was able to it was just very easy to walk up to the guy, and I went up to him. I shook his hand. I took a photo. For any of you that haven't seen that photo, I have very few followers on Instagram.
That was tall as hell, huh?
He's super tall, and it was so funny because when I posted it, I thought like, okay, well, I'm gonna do like a selfie, and we're gonna. He's like 6'3", 6'4", like the dude's tall, and I'm 6'1". But when allegedly, but when I took the photo, I felt like a little guy, and I was just like, or what is it called? Fangirling or fanboying, whatever you want to call it. And no, but he was a really nice guy. He was very gracious. And to your point about liking him, listen, regardless of what you feel, how you feel about Gavin Newsom, I like what he's doing, and he's been doing this for about a year, which is really taking it to this administration and calling the BS out. So I know that it might be, this is not anything other than complimenting the guy on the work that he's doing to push back on the administration. Way too early. We've talked about this as to, ambitions for the guy for 2028, but at least what he's doing to push back, I think that's a really good thing, and that's something I'm a fan of.
Yeah, definitely gets a lot of hate, and I think a lot of it is warranted. a lot of people are discontent with California, with the way that the things in California are running. Some people have a lot of misinformation around like the work that he's done around homelessness. I think that every governor should and could do more for vulnerable communities in general. But yeah, like I understand people's like discomfort with him, but overall I also think that he's doing a good job, at least when it comes to fighting back against the narratives and then poking at the MAGA cult, right? To try and showcase like a different perspective, experience, lo que sea. I think he's running in 2028, but I think it's too early to say that he's gonna be the guy. But I think he's still got room to grow, dude.
Yeah, and I feel like and that's the question, really. I was thinking about, is it too early? Like, is it too early to talk about 2028? I mean, you can make the argument that, Kamala Harris had 107 days and that wasn't long enough. Maybe when, after the election, a year and a half ago, whenever that was, you could say, okay, it's a little too early. Again, I said this the last time we met. November, we're in March. What is that, 6 months away? So I don't think you can necessarily at this point anymore say it's too early. Obviously, the main priority is the midterm, and I know we're going to talk about elections that recently happened. But I think he's still the front runner because no one else is really stepping up. Am I wrong? And I don't know if I would like to see a very healthy primary for president. I think we will. I think it's going to be very competitive, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
I tend to have people might not believe this, dude, but like I tend to have a very optimistic view of things. So I think that's why like the idea of like Newsom running, I think it's good. I think he's done a lot of good things. He's shown a lot of times his stances on the right side of humanity. Although there are times when I wish that he would push more, but it's part of like the optics of the whole thing. But what's interesting here is that there's going to be a large gap on who is going to take his place as the governor of California. I know that we both got to meet Eric Swalwell. Do you have any thoughts on the folks that are running for governor? There's a lot of Democrats, right? I'm assuming that you don't like any of the Republicans that are running.
No, I don't like any of the Republicans. And thank you for asking me that question in good faith, because I have voted Democrat most of my life, if not all of my life, with the exception of, this is going to throw you. I actually voted, my first election I voted for, don't judge me too hard, I actually voted for George Bush, the second one. And, but again, and that's, I think it had less to do with party affiliation and more to do with, I wanted to have an open mind. And I still do today. So I appreciate that your question that you asked in good faith, not out of sarcasm, because that's how it should be. Regardless if you voted for a Democrat or if you consider yourself an independent, you should be open. That said, no, you're absolutely right. The two Republican candidates.
Wait, you voted for George Bush?
I voted for
Dude, who was he running against?
I'm that old, and yeah.
Wait, who was he running against?
I believe he ran against Al Gore. It's the election. It's that one. But it was a different time in politics, and I don't want to get too much into George W. Bush because I don't think anybody really cares. But back in
he's not in the files, bro.
Yeah, he's not in the files. But back in the day, like he kind of seemed a little bit. Now again, there's a lot of atrocities under George W. Bush's that happened under his watch. But when he was running, he sort of had kind of like just a regular dude, like guy that you want to have a beer with. Obviously, time told us a little bit differently of who he was and what he was capable of. But to your point, no, not Steve Hilton and not Chad Bianco. And my thoughts are on the run for California governor is right now there are too many options. It really is open for the Democrats. And so you've already heard people in the media say, I'm sure you've already
Oh, wait, before we talk about the Democrats, did you hear Chad Bianco? ¿Qué chingados es su nombre?
Chad Bianco?
Fuck that guy anyways. He said he wants to create legal pathways for immigrants. Did you hear about that?
I had no.
Yeah, he came out. Now it's been multiple times that he's come out and said that he wants legal pathways so that people that are here can stay here.
What do you think about that?
Well, I don't.
I mean, not about the idea of legal pathways, because anybody could agree that that's awesome. What do you think of someone like a Chad Bianco saying that that's if and I hadn't heard, I haven't heard it, but if you're saying that that's something that he's proposing, what are your thoughts coming from someone like him?
Yeah, I think what's super interesting here is that I think it showcases how important humane perspectives of immigration are, and not that somebody who's as hateful as that guy. Y'all can Google it, like the Oath Keeper stuff. All of that stuff is kind of like spooky, Even though they will say that he only subscribed to whatever for 2 years, whatever. I don't. But like the idea that humane immigration pathways is something that they can get behind on to try and get people to look their way as an additional point to try to get people to vote for them, I think is kind of like wild, right? And I'm sure it'll start here and it'll like expand to other places where MAGA has a strong hold, because everybody is upset about the way that immigration enforcement is being done in the United States. But I just don't trust it. I just do not trust it. I will say though that, como ustedes ya saben, like I can't vote. I'm undocumented. I'm a DACA recipient. I pay taxes, taxation without representation. I've gone down this route before, talking to folks about how frustrating it can be to not have a voice in politics, despite my taxes paying for all this stuff. But I think if the right candidate like showed up and stood on business, I don't think it would matter their party affiliation. Like if they were a Republican that believed in like humanity and making sure that people had universal health care, which like, I don't think we're going to see at any point from the folks on that side, I think people will get behind that, right? But everything is so extreme lately that I don't think it's possible to see it, and also to what is the word you use, in good faith, to believe it in good faith, like Chad Bianco saying that he believes in pathways, while also he criminalizes immigrants in his own area. Like that stuff just
doesn't square. It doesn't equate.
Eso no me cuadra. Is that how you say it? That doesn't square. Eso no me cuadra. Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
Yeah,
I used to be a Spanish teacher, bro. I never heard of that.
You didn't hear eso no me cuadra, or it doesn't?
In English, I never heard of it.
Oh no, yeah. That's for sure. We're also teaching you Spanish, just so you know. You said something very interesting. Or you brought up something, or we were talking about the elections and how wide open it is. Do you think, and I do, by the way, speaking of the governor elections, I do want to ask you before I forget about CalDem, because I know you were there and I want to hear about your experience, but really quick, do you think, because it's getting to the point, and I know that I believe it was I can't remember the name of the California party guy, but he had mentioned that he wants some of the Democratic candidates who are really Yes, I think it was. But he's basically asking him. He put out a letter
to drop out.
To that you like, if you're not really. So what are your thoughts? Like,
if you don't have a viable pathway, drop out.
Like, do you think that's like better to do it now? Or wait a little bit, because I think he kind of gave him, I don't know did you read that? Like he gave him something like a tentative date of like April, or is that something else I'm thinking of?
No, I think you're thinking of the right thing. I think there's a lot of people, so I think folks might be confused about who to support. So I think I understand where the leadership is coming from. But I think, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I think who are the top runners right now? Eric Swalwell, Katie Porter?
On the Democratic side? Well, that depends. If you're looking at polls or if you're looking at the prediction markets, which I'm not condoning the prediction markets. I know sometimes I post about them because just for entertainment, but I think polls, it's on the Democratic side, it's Eric Swalwell, Katie Porter, and Steyer and maybe Mahan are kind of also there. But I just don't see, in my opinion, not that you asked me, but in my opinion, I don't see a path for someone like Matt Mahan right now. Maybe sometime in the future. I don't know about how you feel about Steyer. I like Katie Porter. It doesn't seem, and I know I'm kind of just starting to eliminate it and making it obvious, but I just think that in a state like ours, where we can potentially have two Republicans, to choose from, if they are the ones that get the most votes, some of these candidates need a trouble for sure.
Yeah, I am intrigued by there is two Latinos that are running. Antonio
Villaraigosa.
Yeah, and I'm interested by the things that he speaks about. I'm hoping to meet him. I've been talking to his team to see if I can get in for an interview or something, but they're real swamped. And then there was another one, dude. I can't.
Ian Calderon.
Was I think there was one more on that.
The one from San Francisco, or the one from? Because I think there's Ian Calderon. I don't know if he was running.
No, not Calderon. It was somebody else.
Okay.
Oh, somebody from LA.
From LA
area, I think. Anyway, all to say is, like, I am interested in hearing their perspectives, because even if they don't drop out right away, right? Even if they stand their ground for as long as possible, I think we have the opportunity to showcase important issues that the people who will run long term will stand on, right? And I will say that I met Tom Steyer last week or 2 weeks ago, and I was surprised by how much I think he can relate to people, right? And because the dude's a billionaire, so I think that immediately puts no, we don't trust him. I was talking to some friends about it. They're like, well, if he really cares about the working class, he should donate all his money. And like, apparently he's like working on that. He's giving away a lot of money in philanthropies and all these different things. But I think the message that he has, I think, is really gonna resonate with folks. Even just the idea that he cannot be bought by PACs because he's got the money. He's paying for his own campaign. So I think I don't know about dropping out right early. I think people need to fight for their own opportunity if they would like it. And at the bare minimum, we'll be able to elevate issues that are resonating with folks and specific candidates that might be able to come up towards people that are going to be the front runners at the end. I don't know much about Katie Porter. I know the controversy that she had about the way that she treats her staff, and I think that was enough for me to get the ick. Do you know what the ick means?
I mean, yeah, like the ick. I don't even know if like the ick.
I just checking, dude. Sorry, different generations. I had to learn what the ick was.
Wait, no, I had to learn what the ick was. You're like actually, like a lot younger than I am. So
I think I learned it from my sister, who's in college right now. The ick. What? Anyways, but I think that was it. But aside from that, I don't know much about what she stands for. But I think I put most of my energy around like Swalwell, because I like that fool. I think he stands on the right side of history a lot of times. But I understand that the way that people critique him, I think is very valid. Like the critiques that they have about
totally. I think you could. This is the one thing that I have to I feel like say over and over everywhere I go. I think the difference between the Democratic Party, and this isn't anything like crazy that you've never heard, but it just has to be said over and over. You can criticize elected officials on the Democratic side, and the world is not going to end for them. In fact, they would encourage it because that's how it's supposed to be. At our best, we aren't criticizing them because it's a right. At our best, we criticize them because it's our responsibility. And I don't see that on the other side. And so whether we just talked about Gavin Newsom or Eric Swalwell or anyone else that is running for office on the Democratic side, they are going to invite, and that's how you know and who you can put your faith in when you're looking at who better to serve us as a people. Before I forget, tell me a little bit about, because I didn't have an opportunity. I was out of town. I was in Southern California when the California convention happened. So tell me about it. I saw, for those of you who haven't already, I invite you to go to Senor Barragan's socials. He posted a lot of cool content, a lot of people that he met, anywhere from, we just talked about Eric Swalwell to, icon Dolores Huerta, other content creators. I know he had an opportunity to address the convention at the Latino Coalition. So tell me a little bit about it and what you learned and what you got out of it.
First of all, shout out to the California Democrats for inviting me to the convention. I get my goal, even in this podcast, in every space, is to take up space and to be able to uplift like the issues of the community. So they invited they invited folks, and I was one of the folks that got invited. They even invited me to the Nancy Pelosi dinner, even though I just ate and left. I ate and left because I had to go interview someone. Okay, it wasn't just because of whatever. And
you shouldn't have explained it. That would have been awesome for the people on the but like, holy cow!
I ate and just left. I ate and left, boys, because they were taking long, dude. But I had to go to an interview, so I read it.
That's fine.
But it was very cool, man. I was explaining to Vince before we started the recording that there was a moment on the Saturday that I was there when I went to the Latino caucus, and that's the place where all of the politicians that are Latino or Chicanos are at. And they were making announcements, they were making pleas about why people should support them. I believe that a couple of people that were running for governor came in and then they made their plea about why they should support them. It was all very cool stuff. And then towards the end of it, somebody noticed me and they were like, "Oh, Señor Barragan, like you're here, like I watch your stuff, like thank you for all you do." And I'm like,
that's crazy.
I'm like, "¿Qué chingados?" Like,
that's awesome. No, dude, that's awesome.
Thank you for all you do. And then they asked me, like, "Do you want to come in and do you want to come up and say a few words?" Like, it's just like probably like 9:30 p.m. At night.
That was at 9:30.
Yeah, it was late. Maybe like 9 p.m. and something like it was late. And then I was like, like I should. So I went up and I said a few words. I think I'll post a video about it later, but I think the gist of it was that when I arrived at the convention, it felt very lonely. I was with a homie Jay, who I think a lot of folks, if they follow me, they probably didn't know who he is. And like I was telling him, like the moment that I answered that, it felt very lonely because I didn't see a lot of folks that looked like our community. Not a lot of brown folks, not a lot of Latinos, at least at the entrance when I came in. But at that moment, like it was a room full of Latinos that are trying to make a change, trying to stand up for the community, and it was wonderful, dude. So it was a little, I mean, I don't know how to explain it, dude. Like I think the imposter syndrome might have kicked in a little bit. Of like,
of course,
like should I really be here? But also it felt like just so grateful that folks gave me the opportunity to say like a few things, introduce myself, and ended it with like, please utilize me as a support system to be able to showcase things that y'all are doing that are good for the community. I'll post the video later so that people can see it.
Yeah, post it for sure. I've already seen the video. It's really, really cool. And, Señor Barragan, as you guys already could see, he's really gifted. He's got the gift of gab, which basically means that he can yap and basically, yeah. Well, I mean, what you gave was great content, and it was a great introduction. And it's, again, I said this the last time we were on the podcast. It's very, I'm proud. I'm proud of the work that you do. And so when I see that video and see you posting, and then getting in front of these amazing people that you're meeting, I feel like we are all, right there with you. So yeah, man, I look forward to that video post later so we can all watch it.
Yeah. You know what was interesting is that I think people that if people don't watch my long form content, they probably think that I'm a very serious person. Like if they only watch the videos that I post on TikTok, Instagram, lo que sea, they probably think that I'm a very serious and maybe like angry person in general. I think you've met me in real life, and then you met me through my lives, so you have a different perspective. So I be fucking around a lot. I be joking a lot.
Yeah, no, he definitely has a good sense of humor for sure.
a little extra, but so I was doing that when I was talking to the politicians, and one of the things that I kept asking them, I would get close to one of the elected officials. I'm like, so I'd be like, how about that California governor? Who do you like? And across the board, dude, nobody gave me an answer. None of them.
Everybody.
Everybody.
About the people, California candidates running.
I was like, "Who do you like for governor?"
Yeah.
Like none of them. I don't think they wanted to put their 2 cents in. I don't think they wanted to commit to anybody in general. But everybody across the board was like, "I don't know."
What do you think? Let me ask you this. What do you think about that? I think we kind of alluded to it a little bit last time about putting our support behind someone before an election, I'm all right with it. I know I asked you about it and what your thought was from influencers, but because here's what I think. Whether you're somebody in public service currently, or if you're creating content, I think, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about a recent election that just occurred, but I think it's fine to support someone and not feel like you went in on somebody and, oh my gosh, that candidate lost, and so all of a sudden I lost. And so when I hear people were like, oh, I don't want to put my 2 cents in, or I don't want to put my support yet, like, if you know already, like, support that you want to support a person, support them. And if they don't get elected, okay, then you move on. And then if you make the decision to be a team player, then you support. But the deal is to make the case about who you think is the best person for the role. And if it doesn't work out, then you look for the next best opportunity. Because I think when people are holding their opinion because they think other people might judge them, I think it's kind of silly. What do you think?
I think that's some crazy foreshadowing to the next thing that I want to ask you about. But I think I have a different perspective. And I should have said that I only asked Latinos. I didn't ask any white people who their favorite like person running for governor was.
Really?
Just because I didn't get the chance. Not that I was like avoiding white people at all.
Yeah.
I promise. Like if it was just like the people that I was around and the people that I was like talking with. But I think I appreciate the hesitancy that they had, because I think everybody wants the Latino support. Everybody wants the Latino support, right? And I think there is still time to ensure that the Latino vote, the Latino support, the Latino movement, the Latino attention goes to the person that is gonna do best by your community.
But you're talking about an organization, right?
I'm talking about individuals.
Oh.
Individuals with power. Right?
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, so an individual that has a lot of influence. I don't have a lot of power. I don't consider myself to have a lot of influence. So once I know, me personally, I will gladly give my 2 cents.
So do you know, Vince?
But
Vince, do you know?
For California governor, I think right now, look, I'll say it. I'm not
Why are you taking long?
No.
Vince, why are you taking long?
At the moment, the front runner in my mind is Eric Swalwell. Easy. And again, because I don't necessarily think that, let's say, and I'm not talking about for California. I know there's other elections where you have like 2 Democrats that are like really, really close. And let's call it a primary as opposed to like a general. I know we're going to talk about another one in a moment, but I feel like, like if you know, and you can, and you know exactly why and for what reason you want to support someone, then support someone. I would rather be, and if I'm wrong, and I'm not talking about just choosing someone who is running, I'm talking about having a position on any issue generally. I would rather be criticized for my own personal point of views or how I feel about an issue, as opposed to being criticized about an opinion on an issue that wasn't really mine. It's almost like I'm trying to give a popular opinion. So that's what I mean, is that I think once you find it, no, obviously if you don't know right now, like you're still evaluating your choices, whether it's the governor's race or any other election, then that's fine. Obviously don't give your opinion just because somebody's asking you. But at this point, I don't see, that will remain to be seen, but I don't see anybody else other than Eric Swalwell.
Yeah, like a viable pathway for something.
I don't see it right now.
I think I like Swalwell. I think he's a cool fellow. I think he's standing on the right side of things. I think I haven't heard him yet acknowledge or respond to the critiques around the donation money that he gets, the super PAC money that he gets. And a lot of people are drawing some lines, like that's the line. Like if you're getting money from people that I don't trust, for people that do not have our best interest, like I don't want nothing to do with you. And I think
you asked them about that, right?
Not yet. Not yet.
You did not. Was that not you? I know you talked to him. Not the day we met him. I'm talking about this. You had like a Zoom call.
No, I asked him about immigration related things.
Okay, but you didn't ask him about. No. Did somebody else ask him? I feel like someone else asked him about You're talking about APAC?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like someone asked them about it.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
But I think a lot of people haven't seen it yet. Because that's like the number one thing that every time that I post about Swalwell that I get on my comment section. Like, you cannot trust him because he takes money from so-and-so. And I think it needs to be like addressed and like put down and cemented if it hasn't already. But I do, so anyway, I like Swalwell. Like, again, like I'm gonna say this again because I was surprised myself. I think people should listen to Tom Steyer's perspective on things. I think you would quite enjoy the platform like he's running on.
I think we should listen to. I really want to look. And speaking of Tom Steyer and I talked about Matt Mahan a little while ago.
That's what one answer my DMs.
I feel like I'm giving him a lot of time talking about Mahan. Like, I mean, even the fact that I'm bringing him up, but I also don't think he has a path to win. But I actually almost went to go see him on Saturday. The only reason I didn't see him last week on Saturday is because that was the same day that Gavin Newsom had his event. Earlier that day, I was supposed to go to Matt Mahan's thing, but I didn't end up making it because I had to take a few hours to get to the San Francisco event. But to your point, like I'd be willing to be open. I have to get in front of a lot of these people to not necessarily clarify my support for Eric Swalwell, but maybe to learn to see if there's something else.
Yeah, I wanna meet Matt Mahan. I don't need to meet him. I can just go to one of his events. I just want to see what he stands on. Because I think the critiques that he has are also super valid, dude.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people not trusting, like either the people that are donating to him or like some of the stances that he has around things. But like I lived in San Jose for a while, and so I am very interested in like somebody that has represented the Bay Area to also be able to have a platform and explain what it is that they find as a priority in general. But that won't answer my DMs or my emails.
Really?
Yeah, they're busy. They're running for governor. He's the mayor of Zonson. Busy guy.
Yeah, but you should be.
I'll probably drop a comment and be like, answer my DMs. Well, he says,
tag him.
The last thing that I want to say here before we transition is that the third party folks in California, they're like really dope. They're like really dope. I really love Ramsey. I love Ramsey. I got to meet him, interview him, super down to earth dude. Like just like the things that he stands on are like all great. I just really love that dude. And tomorrow I'm meeting Butch Ware in Oakland. So I'm gonna get to meet him, ask him a couple of questions, and I'm just like the platforms that these folks are standing on, I think resonate with folks a lot, right? And if anything, I really wish that some of the folks with the blue on the blue side would listen to the platform that these folks are running on, because it makes sense, right? They're not saying anything crazy. They're saying things that are achievable,
yeah,
and that resonate with people. So again, like I love Ramsey, and then I'm really excited to meet Butch tomorrow and get to ask him a couple of questions. But on the election side of things, there was a very heated election that happened in Texas, right? Do you have any thoughts on? I'm like, you say first. With Talarico, I know that you like Talarico, because I think one of the
I like
first,
them both.
I remember that one of the first.
I like them both.
One of the first memories that I have from when you came into one of my lives a couple of months ago is you started talking about Talarico before.
Totally remember that. Okay, so I started. I mean, when did we start? When did we meet? Was it? It was last year for sure, right? Because the New Year happened.
But I started.
2025.
I started streaming in November, dude. So
of 2025.
Yeah. I know.
No.
I started way late. Yeah.
On TikTok. We're talking about TikTok.
Yeah.
In 2025.
Yep.
So you're saying that I met you at, no, that's not right.
Yeah. Then I started streaming in November of 2025.
Dude. Okay. Well, I guess.
No, I have that impact on people.
Yeah, exactly. we just connected so easily. Okay. So yeah, I remember. I mean, we were talking early on, and I was just impressed with James Talarico. Still am. I like him a lot. I like Jasmine Crockett a lot. My initial reaction when because it didn't Talarico announce first, or no, was it Jasmine?
No, I think it's Talarico one.
Okay, I have to check that. But what I knew at the beginning when I found, when I knew that they were both running, I thought, wow, like that is, or maybe people were thinking at that time, like, wow, like that's going to be crazy. I was excited about it. I really was. And that's because I thought.
So you were excited about the prospect of these two champions going against each other.
I was excited about two, and remind me of the third. It was el otro güey, ¿cómo se llama? Blanking on his. He dropped that. The other guy. I can't remember. I'm blanking. But anyway, exactly the way you said it. I was excited about the prospect of these two really good candidates to run, and knowing that we are, because I'm a believer, that iron sharpens iron, and both of them are quality, and so I was sad. I like Jasmine Crockett a lot. I was sad that she was not able to pull it off, but by the same token, I'm excited about the chances that James Talarico has in November.
Yeah, I do not share your excitement for like these two champions going against each other, right? Because I didn't want to see the extremes. I didn't want to see people trying to tear people down in general. And if I'm being super transparent, I think I was really nervous about more anti-blackness and like straight up racism fueling things in general, right? Not that wouldn't have happened if it was just like Crockett running on her own, but I think because people were so passionate about Talarico, then I was nervous that it was gonna show like ugly sides of things. But like that's the reality. That's the reality, And like without a doubt, like racism, colorism, like the lack of support for women of color in general showed up heavy across these things, right? And I'm not saying that Talarico wasn't like qualified or like wasn't the best candidate, but when you just look at Crockett's record, like what she stands on, what she's achieved, it's like there is no comparison between both of them, right? So for people to dismiss her like so easily was crazy to me.
That's something that I really didn't like is that they were some people were dismissing her, and even in my own content, again, for those who didn't have an opportunity to hear or see the last podcast that Barragan and I did together, I did mention that the majority of the content I put together is mainly on threads. I started posting on Instagram a little bit more. I do post a little bit on Blue Sky. I refuse to post on Twitter, X, toxic, racist. I'm not going to give it my time. I know that there are other content creators or people who create content that will post there, not judging them. That's my choice of not posting there. And then once in a while I'll post on TikTok. But I did notice that a lot of people were dismissing her. I was trying to be as neutral. Again, I liked them both. So some days I would post, whether it's a speech or remarks that she made. Another day I would post some of his remarks. But I think that one of the really terrible things about social media is that even within our own parties, we're starting to see the silos, the echo chambers, the extremism that you're talking about. You know what I mean? Because if you look at on paper, and this isn't anything new, I think it's been documented that broadly speaking, these two are both progressive. They both proposed similar progressive ideas. So they weren't apart in a lot of what they believed in and a lot of what they wanted to do. I just think that their style and how they delivered and how they messaged, that was different. And so, we'll see how it goes for Talarico.
What do you mean by that? Like, is it the way that they present information or the way that they are perceived by people? Because I think Talarico is perceived as very vanilla, and Crockett is perceived as very fierce, right? And I think that may speak a little bit to what I was saying earlier.
Yeah, I think I love the way I love that she's got like this fighter mentality. And as someone who, maybe, a few moments ago was praising someone like Gavin Newsom for, as he likes to say, fighting fire with fire and pushing back and holding a mirror to the administration. I'll say the same thing about Jasmine Crockett. I love the fact that she's a fighter, that she's going to fight for vulnerable communities. And that's just the way that I've also seen her, she's very charismatic too. Like she's very, she's very charming. Like she's, but sometimes maybe what you see a lot of is her being like that fierce person, which she is. And I love that about her, and that she is a fighter. I think with Talarico, it's something that we are used to. I respectfully, I don't know if I would use vanilla. I think we can say that someone like Talarico is very gifted as an orator. Like he's a very polished communicator. Maybe it's because he used to be a teacher, and he's had practice to be able to explain a narrative. I think one of the things that Talarico does really well, and I'm not saying that Jasmine Crockett can do this and didn't do this, but what I'm hearing a lot of people praise him for is his ability to share, liberal values in a way that can be consumed and digested, not just by people on the left, but people on the right.
You think that's a white privilege thing?
Maybe.
You think if James Talarico was not a white man, he was like Latino or black, he would be able to also reach the hearts of these?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that, but I will know that, and I've heard somebody say that, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess maybe.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think that's what we need right now. But I think it is one of those factors where the fierce, the fighter mentality that Crockett had, a lot of folks that don't have any people of color that are their friends took that, and then they tried to tone police or said like, that's too much, that's too heavy. But then they look at Gavin Newsom and they're like, yeah, that's the guy. He's doing these things. He's fighting back. But do not appreciate it when it's coming from like a black woman.
I appreciate it definitely coming from her, and to your point about white privilege, and you brought up Gavin Newsom. I think he uses his white privilege, in my opinion, in the correct way. I think James Talarico does as well. Yeah. He uses, and that's the thing, right? Like I feel like some of these guys that we appreciate how they're fighting back is, can they use that white privilege in the right way? And I think they didn't this last election.
Yeah, I think so a lot of what I saw online was folks sharing how like the colorism, racism, the lack of support for women of color like showed up in this last election, along with like a bunch of other election issues that were happening in general. But so I think that was like one aspect of things, right? Like that led to Crockett like not winning. I think the other part that I think is going to be a recurring issue with Democrats was also around the money that she takes and from who she's taking it, right? And I think that's the same issue that we talked about with Swalwell, where like, who is he taking money from? And that's why people have issues with him. And I think progressive folks that are on that side that have taken money need to come up with an answer. Because for a lot of people that are looking out at what's happening in Palestine, that are looking up at the massive loss of life, right? People that are condoning this, and that's where the money came from, they need to have an answer to explain, to either cut ties, or to be able to help people believe that they're still standing with
on the right side of humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they're gonna do that, dude, but
I agree. And speaking of these two candidates, and this might be a little, not exact, but if I'm not mistaken, I know that Jasmine Crockett won the black vote, and then Talarico, I believe he won the Latino vote. And I don't know if you've met Carlos, but man, Carlos is super happy because I don't know if you saw it. He was like almost campaigning with Talarico, and so I think this goes to show, obviously, that the Latino vote is important, and I just thought it was an impressive. Now, I'm not saying that Jim Talarico, was elected solely because of content creators and specifically with Carlos, but I'm
sure it helped.
I do think it definitely helped for sure. And I'm pretty sure, Carlos, I always, how I view Carlos is like the Mexican Aaron Parnas. I don't know if he's going to like that comparison. I think Aaron Parnas is very unique in the work that got, but it's like, Aaron's like, we got breaking news. And it's just like, oh my God, what else, right? With Aaron Parnas. And then Carlos is, mi gente.
Like that's great. I really like Carlos, dude. I only met him once in LA at the Prop 50 thing. He gets people have a lot of hate for him, dude. But I think it's also a lot of the hate, and el peor enemigo de un latino es otro latino. And a lot of people are like jealous of like the success that he's had. I also think that everybody messes up sometimes. He's had some takes that I don't fully agree with,
Totally.
But I think it's part of being like imperfect and all that stuff. But I think it does showcase the power of like content creators, influencers, and the need that the left needs to take in order to be able to win. Like if they're not utilizing folks like Carlos to be able to reach masses, they're already dropping the ball because the right has been doing that for 8 years or more, I don't know about Aaron Parnas, dude. Sometimes I have issues with that voice sometimes.
I mean, with Aaron, I think it's I want, since we're talking, he's never going to see this, but if he does, it's okay. What are your issues with Aaron?
I just like people who do not take a strong stance.
That's right.
So just the right side of humanity. Like
I think because
he's gotten called out. That's the thing. He's gotten called out, and people have asked him to make a stance around like the things that are happening in Palestine. Dude, he hasn't done it. As far as I've seen. And I think somebody that has that much of a reach, who's been that outspoken about all of these different societal issues, and he hasn't done it, I think it's...
I agree. And again, he's not going to watch this, and if he does, it's okay. He can come and come and ask me questions or say, what the heck is... the guy doesn't even know who I am, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. I agree, and this isn't necessarily on just Aaron Parnas. It could be just anyone in general that has as much influence as he does. What I think he will say, and I'm not trying to put any words in his mouth, is that he'll say, "I'm a journalist." Yeah, dude, but you're like an independent journalist. It's not like, I can understand if he was like, well, I work for a network and we have, and I answer to like a supervisor, like I have a contract, but when you're a so-called independent journalist, I would like to hear you take stands.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't say free Palestine, if you can't say at the bare minimum we need to stop the massive loss of life that is happening in the Middle East, I think that's a problem, for anyone. But I think folks that have been following for a while, they know that I get into this beef sometimes, where I strongly believe that if you are somebody with an audience and you are benefiting from people in general, then it is your responsibility to be outspoken in support of the people that are being most affected. So that's why I don't fuck with people that are witnessing what's happening with ICE and haven't said anything, especially some Latino brands that are like benefiting from the Latino community and don't say anything. This Latino like musicians, like actors, or people with an audience that are real silent, right? But when they need support for their new project, they go out to the Latino community, they try to pander to us. But now that our community is being under attack, they're
Mario Lopez
is not even on the right side. He's like he's like straight up like supporting the other fool. This is about like Chingo Blank. You know what that is? Chingo Blank was this other like comedian, musical artist guy who came out to be super MAGA dude, and it's like crazy, you know. But a lot of these folks that are like having a great time talking about the immigrant experience, talking about making jokes about the immigrant community at the expense of the immigrant community, and you can't say like the way that this is going is not okay.
I just think it's crazy that when I see content creators, they're still like pushing out content like nothing is happening. That is what like bothers me. And I'm not saying that if you are not, let's just say that you don't, political content isn't the content that you normally, whether you make a living posting that or creating that content, fine. I'm just saying, like, once in a while, you'd like to see, like, hey, listen, guys, or everybody, I want to, I know this isn't the content that I normally post, or I know you don't hear me talk about this, but I want to take a stance, and just take a stance because, again, like you're saying, when you are making money off of the very people that you're supposedly, like, targeting, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's not a good look. It doesn't come out good. It doesn't feel good. Lo que sea. Asking people that are benefiting from our community, the bare minimum is supporting them in general. And if they don't, if they're not saying anything, I think they're making the stance themselves. They're being very loud. Either you support what's happening right now, or you rather not lose your brand deals over what's happening right now.
Did I say this last time? I think I might have said this last time. When you're not acting, you're acting. That's a choice. When you stay silent, that's a choice. Not saying something is saying something. So when they're actively going about, their day and not taking a stance, again, when you are benefiting and you're making hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars off of the content and brands and other partnerships, it's a shame. And I'm not going to call out like some of the brands, but there are some accounts that I just on Instagram that I unfollowed. These like so-called like Latino, those funny pages, those like Latino funny pages, or those, whatever, where they put a bunch of memes out. And then I don't need to see those pages where like they're sort of placating this administration. Like after he got elected, some of these pages were like, El Don Donald, or I'm like, dude, bro, like it's a bad look.
I think Full Community was one of the ones that I was surprised by. What's it called? They were consistently pushing out people that were like pro-Trump, and I was like surprised that they didn't have anybody that was on the other side of that. But then there was this other brand, this clothing brand, House of Chingazos. I think I've never heard of them.
Yeah.
They have stuff that I think is dope. I think I bought like something from them and I used them in one of my videos. They left me with a bad experience because they took my video and they started using it for promotional content without reaching out to me at all. Like at all. And then and so I reached out to them. And then content creators, we have rates that we charge people whenever we create content for them in general. And I think if they would have reached out to me, I would have sure, let's come up with something that works. If y'all are gonna use and push out my video everywhere. But this was where we'll give you $300 and a free shirt or something. And I was like, whatever, I don't care. How about instead of that, you donate the money to an organization? And those was just didn't respond for weeks. It was very slow to respond. And what's it called? So I was annoyed by it, but I was like, whatever, they're busy. Never seen them make a stance about being being against ICE, being anti-Trump, but they have plenty of stuff that is pro-Latino, right? So it's just sus. Why is that? Why are you not making a stance directly? And the last thing I'll add here is that they reached out to me on a chat, and they said if I wanted to help them promote part of their LGBTQ brand, right? And I'm after my last experience, I don't know that I want to work with you all, but also if I've never seen y'all take a stand that is pro LGBTQ, And also, why me? There's a lot of LGBTQ creators that are doing great work.
Yeah.
Like, why go to somebody that is not LGBTQ to promote the LGBTQ stuff? Maybe they think I'm gay. That would be like the thing, But I'm just saying, like, I find it very sus when people are trying to benefit and they're not trying to put in the work and like stand on the right side of history.
And again, and I'll reiterate this. What I'm saying is like, don't change your content. Clearly, you have to make a living, and you whatever your content you're creating, and that's your content. But like once in a while, and again, specifically on accounts or content creators who benefit monetarily from the people they're targeting in their content, and to see that those people they're targeting are being affected by atrocities by this administration is a slap in the face when you don't say anything.
Yeah. Fuck ICE. It's not that hard to say. You don't have to say it. It's okay. He's got a job. He probably shouldn't say that. I wanted to ask you.
I'm gonna say it.
Don't say it, Vince. I don't want you to get in trouble. Then there was like 3 other topics that I wanted to touch on, but it's already past like the time that we were gonna go. Because we didn't get to talk about Noam getting fired. we didn't get to talk about DACA recipients getting detained by ICE. And like I wanted to touch on like people that are blaming like the blame game around like illegal, quote unquote, illegal immigration, and like getting in line. And then I wanted to touch on like why is it that people still support Trump? There was a bunch of stuff that we didn't get to because we were what was the word? Gab? The gift of gab? What did he say? We were yapping.
The gift of gab.
We were yapping.
You were yapping.
But I think maybe like to end it, dude. One of the things that Vince told me right as we were starting is he was showing me a poll where it showcases that a lot of Trump supporters, I think it was 86%, the number that I saw, like still heavily support Trump, which is higher than in other administrations historically in the past. And I think that was incompetent. I think that was weird as hell. I think I don't think weird is not a reason for someone not to be the president, but you know what I mean. But I think that was incompetent. I think he's creating a lot of harm. I think he's hurt a lot of Americans. I think he's not standing on the right side of history. I think that fool, if he's in the files, which he is, I think he needs to be held accountable for all those things. I think there's like a lot of reasons. I think there's a lot of folks that are Republicans, non-MAGA, that are seeing the light and are trying to find alternatives. But why do you think, Vince, why do you think that MAGAs, people that wear the red hat, are still supporting him fully?
The framing of your question was perfect. There are reasonable Republicans who are starting to understand, but there's always going to be his followers, his cult, that you just mentioned a few things. His involvement with the Epstein files, historically how unpopular he has been and currently is. The fact that the tariffs are, tanking the economy. The market is starting to suffer now. Crypto is starting to suffer now. The guy promised when he was running for office before his second term that he was going to end all these wars. He claims he ended 8 wars, but the guy can't start the next war fast enough. He also promised that he was going to bring down prices. He promised that he was going to make Americans wealthier and healthier, and he's doing the exact opposite. Historically, there's so many atrocities that we can talk about, from January 6th all the way to literally the execution of 2 people in American streets, to the loss of 6 service members because of actions that he made. So to your question, why do they support? Knowing everything that they know, knowing everything that he has done, why do they continue? And it's very simple. And it's a sad thing. I even hate to say this because it's truly a sad thing. At the end of the day, Barragan, he validates those same people. He validates who they are. He hates the same people they hate, or they hate the same people that he hates. And so they feel validated, they feel justified in not only who they are now, but possibly who they have always been. And so part of it too is they think that someone like him isn't going to come anytime soon. And in their mind, they think he's generational, that someone like him is never going to come along to validate their feelings. And so what do is when he flirts with the idea of, maybe I'll stay. What do you guys think when he's giving out a speech, right? He does his speech. What do you guys think? Should I do another term? Should I do another one? And they love that. They actually, in their mind, they're so in on him that they believe anything. So there's really nothing. There's nothing that you can, tell those folks, because at the end of the day, they feel validated in who they are. So I guess
they're like Raider fans.
Ooh, hey, I'm not a Raider fan.
I'm a Raider fan.
You're a Raider fan. I feel you know what? You got a pretty good coach. I think we're not talking sports. You got a pretty good coach, and
I don't even watch football. You're just a hater.
you're probably going to get the best quarterback coming out of college ball. But my point is, so where do we go from here? What does that mean? What me mentioning that, and why they kind of like ignore or turn a blind eye to that? Because of what you said before. There are reasonable Republicans or independents who might have voted for him before, and I understand that the people I just mentioned, those really hard MAGA supporters who will just go along with everything. You're not going to get that. You're just not. And so we have to continue to build that Big Ten and not just win the narrative, because that's BS. We can't just win on style. We got to win with action, with actual action. Like, what do we stand for? That's going to be the difference in increasing the 10. And we're already seeing it, left remarks. We're already seeing it. All of these elections with that are happening all across the country recently, and the special elections that have happened in the last few months, those are a sign of what's to come. But now we got to go all in and go harder than we have in the last few months to expose this administration, and then also to prepare our actual policies so that we can be for something.
Yeah. You know what I think for my closing statement around this is that I am very interested in seeing how perspectives change. We didn't even get to talk about the war, dude. We didn't even talk about the war. Right. But like, because I think you are like on point, right? That a lot of people are feeling validated because all of the things that they perceive as like being the reason why they're not doing well. They're blaming immigrants. They're blaming like all of everyone except themselves. They're blaming the Democrats, lo que sea. But they are now going to enter a space where affordability is at an all-time low. Wait, low or high?
Yeah.
Things are not affordable.
Yeah.
And it's not a hoax, right? And our people are getting sent out to fight in a foreign war, right? At the ask of a foreign leader, right? So I think a lot of people who are very pro-American, who voted for this guy, who support this guy because they perceive him as being just like them, the same values, are going to be hit the hardest around the idea that was all a lie. And I cannot wait to see their responses. I cannot wait to see how they will try to justify it.
You think they're actually going to feel like that pain that you're talking about? I'm talking about the hard MAGA followers. You think that, because I have an opinion about it, but I want to hear what you think.
I think they're going to feel it. I don't know that they will acknowledge it as it being Trump's fault. But like Americans are dying. Like some of them already died just a few days ago, right? And that's the start, right? Without a doubt, like they are going to be feeling this. And how are they going to try to spin that and saying that was the Democrats? They did that, They'll find a way. Yeah. But I'm saying, like, whether they acknowledge it or not, I think they're going to to have to take a stance again.
You said it. They're going to blame immigrants because that's what they were taught to do. And I might even go as far as saying that this is the price that they're willing to pay to be who they are. I'm not kidding, Barragan. Like some of these folks, and again, part of me even feels bad for them. I know that some of you are going to be like, no, screw them. Like this is what they chose. I get it. But they were fed all of this misinformation and they believe everything. And yes, they might feel it, and they might feel the pressure of the weight of a terrible economy. People are literally dying on the streets of America and abroad. But to them, they will think, one, this is immigrants' fault, and then two, this is the price. Paying a little bit more for beef just because but at least I get to be who I am.
Yeah.
That's really sad.
I just don't know how they'll do that about their kids getting sent off to war. I just don't know how they will be able to say it's those damn illegal immigrants, and that's the reason why we're like I don't know. They'll figure something out. They'll figure out a way to blame everybody else, but
It's a good topic. That's a good topic to start on for the next one for sure, because that's a whole other. Yeah, who do you blame at that point?
That was actually bullet point number 7 here. All right, familia, thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate you all. Vince, closing remarks, closing statements. What should people look out for? What do you got going on?
Right now it's I think it's a really good opportunity to reflect on all of these elections and to get started for the, there's just like a series of moments politically, even within, the midterms and the general. So again, for everybody, I know that we have a lot of people that are still disappointed about Jasmine Crockett. I share your feelings. But I think this is a really great moment to reflect. And I do think that, success does leave some clues. And so what really worked and where are our opportunities? And then we just move forward for the general, because I think it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah. On my end, y'all, again, thank you all for supporting this. I'm going to try to do at least one podcast a week and bring out Vince as much as possible. Whenever we're able to make it happen. Aside from that, I'm moving my newsletter from Beehive, I think, to a different service. I will let you all know. Please be on the lookout for that so you can continue to support me. I made a video today that I want to make sure that y'all keep an eye out for. It's just me basically complaining about things. I posted a video on TikTok and I used the hashtag education equity, and it got flagged, and I got a mark against my account, and the hashtag removed for a community violation for using the hashtag education equity. Along with I've lost millions of views over the last couple of months. I just don't trust the application. So I'm trying to find a way to safeguard the community. So if you're supporting this, please tell the homies to come and support here. And I'm going to try to find other venues for us to be able to continue to build community and be together, whether it be, I think I tried Discord. I don't know if that's the easiest way for people to access. But I think having people follow YouTube, look us out, I think it's going to be the best way for us to be able to continue to grow and stick together. So please be on the lookout. I appreciate you all very much, and I will see you all very soon. Peace.
Peace.